What's up, guys? How y'all doing, fans? Welcome back. Real Fans Podcast, episode 27. Friday, August 20th, 8:49 p.m.
8:40.
Nice weather outside. Night here in Miami. How you guys doing?
It's hot as hell. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm here with a hat zip. Talking about nice weather. The AC kicking.
All I gotta say is I am so excited that football is finally back. Am I right, Gabe?
Yay, football.
And Gabe's just he's you know why Gabe isn't excited? It's because he's got Tua as quarterback. That's why he isn't excited. I wouldn't be excited either.
All right. I don't even know why you're excited. We're obviously going to get into it because there's a lot going on with that organization on your forehead there. We don't get into that. I don't know what you're excited about.
What? Tebow's gone?
It's a sad day, man. It's a sad day in Jacksonville history, bro.
Listen, all right, guys, to break it down to our lovely fans here, Jacksonville Jaguars have recently lost their best player that they've received in the offseason, their star acquisition by the name of Tim Tebow.
Timothy Tebow.
Your best player.
Football Jesus.
Your best player has been cut after one preseason game.
Damn, our best player got cut.
Your best player has gotten cut. Now, we all know what's going to happen the rest of the season. It's a failed season.
Yeah, we're tanking. It's the first.
Start over again, man.
Start over again. That guy from Oklahoma.
Doesn't matter if you had the top draft pick, top quarterback coming in, because you needed Tim Tebow.
Needed TE1, TE Bow.
No, all right, guys. In all honesty, guys, what do you guys really think about that? You feel like he was cut too soon? Why do you think he was cut? I know Jude's been up, with his practices. Remember a few episodes ago, he's like, yeah, he went 6 for 6 at practice. I don't know if that means anything, but how do you feel, Julian? Did that 6 for 6, it ain't quite get him to where he needs to be?
All right, so here's my thing. I got kind of a pretty thought out thing. So I'm surprised, but not surprised at the same time. I have this weird feeling where I'm surprised he got cut, but I'm not surprised he got cut, if you know what I mean. So the reason why I'm surprised he got cut is because I truly didn't think. Well, first off, I thought they would give him one more preseason game. And also, I really didn't think they would actually run him as a true tight end role. I really didn't suspect that. I really thought when he was coming into Jacksonville, he was going to have a specific role and he was going to be hiding underneath the tight end, position name, but he wasn't. And it looked like Urban Meyer actually ran him as an actual tight end, which to me was not right. I think to me, it looked like Urban Meyer never put him in a position to succeed because you knew damn well everybody knew, even Urban Meyer knew that he wasn't going to succeed as a tight end. He wasn't. He was going to be ass. He's never played the position for. He's not an ounce of it. He's never even blocked. He's only ever been a quarterback, and he was a physical quarterback. But being a physical quarterback is completely different from being a physical football player on all other aspects of the game. So It was I was really surprised that they cut him and they had him play as an actual true tight end position. And then they didn't even give him any special teams play, which supposedly he just has not looked good in special teams in practice. So they didn't play him any special teams reps in preseason. And the thing is, if you're a fringe guy, you got to play special teams. You have to. That's your one way of making the team. But yeah, I was really surprised in that sense. And it almost seemed to me, it was you kind of put him in a position to fail, almost. And it was you kind of worked him up because think about it. Tebow, I guarantee he even thought that's all right, look, I'm not going to be used as an actual tight end. And then it comes to practice, he's I'm actually being used as an actual fucking tight end. Yeah. You expected him to be a gadget guy, kind of like a Taysom, obviously not like Taysom Hill is way more athletic, I think, and faster in every way. But I did think it was odd that they actually did that. But
I actually had to look up tape because the only thing I saw online was a couple blocks. Kind of made them look goofy.
Went viral.
I was like, I was like, I gotta check this out because I was like, this can't even be the two plays that he was in. I was like, damn, they cut him and they didn't even like throw a pass to him at all. He didn't even get a catch, nothing.
He had
So
two
I actually went online.
targets. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually went online and looked it up, and there was a guy who was breaking down the film of just all the plays that he was in. And like you said, Julian, like they're actually using him as like a blocking tight end. Usually some receivers, they're, receiving their possession receivers, whatever. They're going to be throw first, or like Julian said, they might use him in a package like a wildcat or something. But they're actually using him to block, and he just looked, he didn't look, he didn't look like a professional blocker.
Like unnatural, right? Like,
it looked unnatural. He was missing his blocks. He didn't look particularly fast out there, like running his routes. I mean, it was just like whatever. It wasn't like anything spectacular. He actually had a pass. I think it was towards him, and one of the plays, it was a pass towards him, but a wide receiver undercut him and took the ball under the air. Like they did like a little curl towards the inside, and the smaller guy got in front of him, took the ball, and then he had to turn around and try to block somebody, which he missed that block as well. So they were actually trying to use him as a blocking receiver, blocking tight end, and he just wasn't that good. Like he's not up to par to, like it was subpar.
That's what we expected. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's such a short amount of time to have him training in that position. Yeah. Like Julian said, he's never played.
I really thought he'd play halfback. I thought he'd play halfback, like maybe come in like a fullback type of role. Like, wow, like I really expected more. And I thought with this preseason, all right, obviously they're not going to show the Tim Tebow package. So I didn't expect them to show anything in the preseason. So that's why I was like, all right, they're obviously not going to show much. They maybe have him run a couple routes, which he would probably do, or maybe a couple screens or whatever it might be. But I don't think they're going to show anything crazy, obviously, because it's preseason. But then when he got cut, I'm like, oh shit! Like they were actually running him as a tight end, and yeah, it just and if you take it at that point of view, it is kind of like, I think Urban Meyer did the right thing, because what kind of precedent are you setting by like having him come in and play a position that he's never played and obviously did not look good, and then to keep him on the team and cut other guys. The one thing I will say, and I hate the argument, oh, well, he took a spot from somebody else. I was like, that's such a bullshit argument. It's such a bullshit. Nobody's out there blaming Tim Tebow for the reason why they're not on a team. If they're not on if they can't make a 90-man roster out of 32 teams, you simply just aren't good enough to make it in the NFL. And Tim Tebow is not the reason why. Well, 90 to get into camp, at least. 90 to get into camp. So that idea that he's taking the 90, like, let's be real. Like, if you're blaming Tim Tebow for the reason why you're not on the team or whatever, at that point, at least, like, you just weren't good enough to make the team. Like,
so
or
now
to get called up to a training camp.
Next question for you is, who are you gonna have at tight end? Your team. Who's next man up?
Well, I mean, Tebow's battling for the 4th spot, and that's even if we keep a 4th tight end. But I mean, we drafted a guy who's going to be a blocking tight end out of Ohio State. We also got a guy in free agency from Carolina who's going to be so it seems like we only have one actual receiving tight end. He's been on the team for a couple of years, James O'Shaughnessy. But I think Urban Meyer, from what it seems like, he mostly uses his tight ends as like an extension of the offensive line. He doesn't really run like, or what it seems like is like, we're not going to really run like this West Coast offense like San Francisco or Kansas City does with Kelsey and Kittle. And it seemed, or like what's the guy out of Oakland? Darren Waller. So it seems like Urban Meyer has a certain idea of how he wants a tight end. And when you really look back at his like past college careers, he's never really had a standout tight end that was really out there catching balls. I mean, he had Aaron Hernandez, but he kind of made a name for himself by doing other roles within that offense and then really make a name for himself in the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah.
I don't think he was putting him in a bad position, right? Because, Tim Tebow was an athletic guy. Like, whatever you say, he was a great college ball player. And I think they were trying to rely on his athleticism to do that, and we've seen, we heard of guys, I'm thinking of freaking Jimmy Graham. He was a basketball player until his senior year when he decided to play football. And he, look at the long career that he's had. So they were kind of, I think they were trying to rely on his athleticism, like, he's playing baseball or whatever. But he just didn't have like that kind of instinct. Like, you know what I mean? That's like something you practice and you develop over years, like that ability to block and like put your body in harm's way. Whereas he, as a quarterback, he's trying to avoid, contact and stuff. So I guess it's like a different mindset, maybe you're trying to rely on they were trying to rely on his athleticism too much, and he just doesn't have that instinct to be a tight end, which, if you're going to use him as a blocking tight end, like I could never see why you want to use him as that. Like you said, Julian, like I saw him in more packages, Wildcat, bring him in some, Taysom Hill kind of position.
Yeah.
But hey, you got a shot, man. You got a shot just like every other guy. And that's it. I guess we move on. He'll probably be better on TV, man. This guy's going to be on TV. He does college football. He's going to make plenty of money.
I've seen him, man. Yeah.
Here's one thing I will want to say, and I'm curious what you guys' thoughts on it, because it's a little bit of a hot take that I have, is like, especially with everybody saying that, how he got a chance to try out for the team. And they're saying he was like really privileged about it, like, because he knew the coach and all this stuff. But I'll go as far, like, I really think Tim Tebow in his whole NFL career, he was never given a shot. He was always put in a position to fail. When you really think about it, once we look back at Tim Tebow's career, this is the guy, and I'm gonna sound like fucking Skip Bayless here, but he really, like, I'm not a huge Tebow guy. I'm pretty unbiased. I'm not like diehard Tebow, but like when you really look at his career, he was always in every situation set up to fail. He was never set up in a situation where he had a team built around him, a system built around him. He was never given the chance. Obviously, great players excel that, and yeah, that is true. And Tim Tebow is never going to be Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. But I think he was 5 years or 6 years too early. If he was to come into the league now, Tim Tebow would be a success. And dude, I mean, at the end of the day, he took the Denver Broncos, who was a 1-4 team, who were looking to be bad, and a coach and a general manager who didn't want him. They had an offensive system that didn't work for him, and he still led a team to the playoffs. And then the next year, they get rid of him, and they send him to the Jets, and he never starts another game after that. Yeah. He never starts another game after that. And when he took a team to a playoff and never started another game at the quarterback position.
That's wild. And I was going to ask you, whatever happened to that when he got that playoff win? Literally, I haven't never heard of him after that.
Yeah, it was a touch.
He went to New York.
Overtime. Yeah, he went to New York, and that was it.
Well, they got blown out by the Patriots, who ended up going to the Super Bowl, and there was a very dominant team.
That's where they send you when they want your career to die. They send you to the Jets.
And the thing, too, is like Tim Tebow was drafted, I think, 2010 by Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for now the New England Patriots. He never played his first year. Then Josh McDaniels gets fired. Then John Fox comes in. John Fox he didn't want Tebow or anything. I guess Tebow was like Josh McDaniels' like project. He wanted him. They were the reason why they drafted him in the first round. Well, never gets an actual chance underneath them. They bring in John Fox, who didn't really want him. John Elway didn't really want him. And then the crowd, after going 1-4 with Kyle Orton, the crowd finally was chanting Tebow, and they want him to play at least. And then he leads the team to the playoffs and then never starts another game. And when you really think about that, and I really think we'll look back and be like, damn, like this guy really never got a shot in the NFL.
How many seasons did he play?
4. I have 2, 06, 07, 08, 09.
Wow.
No, that's college.
Oh, that's college. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's
Look
college.
At his wrong stats.
It's 2010 to 2015, I think. And that's my thing. I think Tim Tebow was never actually given a fair shot. And then also, he was never given a fair shot. Damn, why did I lose my train of thought right there? But yeah, either way, that's all I got to say.
All right, and in conclusion, Tebow never had a fighting chance in his NFL career. But he did get one now, and he lost it. I feel like he wasn't set up for failure. Jaguars had their expectations on who they wanted, and they weren't going to sugarcoat that position just for Tim Tebow because he couldn't adjust. I feel like that's what they needed. He wasn't the guy, and he got cut.
I agree.
That's how I feel.
I just didn't think he'd play tight end. That's my last thing.
So moving on to the next thing, because we can still stay on Jacksonville. Jacksonville still hasn't announced their quarterback even though they obviously drafted Trevor Lawrence, first round pick. Everybody knew it
number
from last
one
year.
pick.
So what's going on with your quarterback situation in Jacksonville?
So actually today I was watching the press conference. Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence are actually doing a press conference today. And he still won't announce, as of today, he still won't announce who is the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer's still keeping that close to his chest. He's saying that this is a quarterback competition, that Gardner Minshew actually has a real chance of being week one starter. And they haven't even announced who's going to start this upcoming game Monday night. But
you know what? I like that. You know why? You know why?
It's the dumbest.
Oh, if I come in, right, your number one draft pick, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. You're going to have to fight for it. And I feel like he's going to put a chip on his shoulder to show us what he can really do, right? We all have these expectations, right? Hey, what's a little friendly competition to fight for your spot? Yeah. If you're the guy, why not go out and earn it and show why you're the guy? You know what I mean? You're coming out of college. You're coming out of college, bro. You haven't proved anything. First pick, second pick, third pick. You're going to come in relaxed. Nah, this is the NFL. This guy, Minshew, he's fighting for his job. He's fighting for his family. Like, that's his career. That's his, you know what I mean? Everything's at stake. So I like it. I like it. If you're the man, you're going to show you're the man.
It's kind of Urban Meyer's way. If you go back and look, nobody was ever guaranteed a spot. And he's still kind of even like that to not even just the quarterback position. I mean, he's like that in all positions. And I think he truly believes it. I genuinely think that Urban Meyer would, if hypothetically, if Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing good, at the end of the day, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be the starter because I just think Trevor Lawrence is just better. From what I've seen, Minshew's just not good enough to act. There's something special about Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to be the starter. But like, say hypothetically, if Trevor Lawrence wasn't performing well and Gardner Minshew was, I genuinely think Urban Meyer would start Gardner Minshew. I think he would. I think deadass he would be like, you know what, he's playing better. I'm not throwing a guy out there who's not going to put us in a position to win. We're starting him. But obviously, from what we've all seen, Trevor Lawrence looks to be pretty fucking legit. I don't know if you guys saw the highlights of our first preseason game. Trevor Lawrence versus Gardner Minshew in that game was worlds different. And like, just seeing the way that guy throws the ball, I haven't seen a ball thrown like that in Jacksonville since I was a little kid with Mark Brunell. Like, I mean, that guy has zip. He has poise. My only complaint so far is it looks like he was like staying in the pocket for too long and he was kind of standing there for too long and being idle for too long. But other than that, I think, like I said, I like how he's making competition. He's like, I'm not going to just name anybody because you're right. He hasn't necessarily proved anything. We're going to see coming week 1 to week 18. But
and I know, let's say hypothetically he does to him, and I'm gonna let you get your point in as well, Gabe. Because I can see on the other end, right? You draft the guy, that's the guy you want to roll with, that's the guy you want to develop, right? That's your future. But guess what? Jacksonville, you want to win now, right? So you're gonna put the best guy, you're gonna put you in the best position to succeed right now. Now, because you guys are a little past a little what's it called? Build-up team. Like, you guys are in a position from what you brought all together to make a little run.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
Yeah, go Gabe.
No, I was gonna say, man. I mean, this is one of the dumbest things ever. It's obvious. It's obvious. What first round draft pick never starts for their team? I understand. This is the dumbest shit ever. Obviously, mind you, this is still his first year as a professional coach, Urban Meyer. So, I guess you can say it. To me, it's just like the answer's so obvious. I've been saying this kid. When I first saw him play, I think it was his freshman year when they said he was a true freshman, whatever. I was like, damn. I was like, when I saw him play live in college, I was like, yo, I cannot wait till he goes to the draft because this kid is going to be fucking special. This kid has the frame. This kid has the arm. And I was like, we got to wait like fucking 3 more years for this guy to get out of college. So I've always known this kid. Bro, you don't need to be a professional coach to know that fucking he's going to be a starter. Like, you don't even, like a dummy. You can be a dummy can see that he's obviously going to start. So, like, to me, this is like, whatever. Maybe sometimes coaches do this because they say, oh, they don't want the other team to get scouting or get practice on, because they have the practice teams they set up on different offenses, so they don't want to scout, whatever. They don't want to scout the quarterback, so they say, oh, we don't know. It could be anybody. It could be, I don't know. It could be the kicker. I don't know.
The one thing I will say,
we obviously know who's gonna fucking play.
The one thing too that I will say, like I said, the only way, like this is to me, I think it's gotten to a point where he's just saying that because after everything we've seen, Trevor Lawerence, he's fucking good. He is by far the best quarterback on the team from everything that we've seen from camp and the preseason game, and we'll probably see it again Monday. Like, he is the guy. Gardner Minshew, we can say that he never actually, kind of like in a Tebow situation, he was kind of put in a position to fail because we were tanking. It was evident. I mean, he didn't have any weapons. He didn't. And the year before that, when we actually did have a solid team, he stringed together some games. I think Gardner Minshew is a great backup. I don't think he's necessarily a starter. I think what I think is going to happen is we're holding on Gardner Minshew for trade bait. I think midway through the season, somebody's going to get injured. Somebody who's pushing for a playoff spot, QB is going to get injured, and they're going to want to give whatever it takes to get Minshew, because I think Minshew's probably he is for sure one of the best backups in the league right now. So somebody's going to pay him or trade for him to get like a couple games, because he can string together a couple games. He can string together a couple wins. I have a lot of gripes with Gardner Minshew. I think he has a lot of flaws that make the team look bad, but I do think he deserves to be in this league, and I think he's a solid backup. I don't necessarily think he's good enough to be a starter. But yeah, it is fucking.
I love the competition, man. You got to keep a chip on their shoulders and just show nothing's guaranteed, and we know who's going to be the starter.
But here's my one thing though that does bother me. The one thing though that does bother me is though you need to get to a point where you need to announce something soon, because you can't be having Trevor Lawerence on like second team reps. Like, you can't. Like, I get, like, in the beginning you're splitting half and half, like Gardner Minshew gets some and then Trevor Lawerence gets some, but it's getting to a point where, like, after this preseason game, I want to see him named the starter, and I want to see him solely get first team reps. I want him to see build connection with his guys that he's going to be out there playing with, and he needs to stop having him fuck around with second team guys. And that's where I'm like, all right, dude, we need to do something. We need to announce it now, because there's no reason we already know he's the best guy, and there's no reason he should be playing with second team guys.
And one of the biggest things you ever hear from like all these analysts is like, yo, college open and NFL open are two different things, right? So you need to give him that experience. You need to get him at fucking NFL speed with fucking guys 250 pounds running at him 4.6s. You need to give him that speed, and you need to give him that experience of starting open. You know what I mean? We just went through a season with fucking Tua. Tua said, I didn't know the playbook. He didn't look open to me. Like, you know what I mean? So you need to get him those reps, and he needs to see that. You know what I mean? So like I said, this is the most obvious thing to me. This is not like a hard thing to unravel. This is not like a fucking NFL mystery where fucking we'll find out in the next 5 episode Dragon Ball Z shit.
I will say
he's going to be a starter.
I was going to say, I will say though, I'm not entirely against Gardner Minshew getting some first team reps, but they shouldn't be splitting it half and half. Like, I think your backup should have some first team reps, like a little bit, maybe like 80-20 split. Like your starter gets 80% of it, and then your backup is 20%. Just so you can get a little familiar in case something was to happen. Like, if he was to get injured, your backup, no matter what team it is, your backup still has a little bit of experience playing with those guys and kind of understanding the way the receivers move and your O lineman is. But like, to be splitting half and half, like, no, this is crucial time. You need to give your guy like first, especially a rookie. You need to give your guy like as many first team reps as possible.
So can we transition over to the West Coast, to San Francisco? San Francisco 49ers with Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo. Who do you believe will start in San Francisco? Julian, I'll go to you.
All right, so these are one of these things that I was kind of saying where I think it really depends on what's happening in camp in the preseason. What I saw this past weekend, or last weekend with Trey Lance, was really good, honestly. I thought he played very well. I was very surprised with his poise in the pocket. Jimmy G, did he play? If he did play, I think he played like a little bit, but I did see, I really wanted to check out Trey Lance. So I watched, he played a good amount too. He played into like the third quarter, especially for a first preseason game, which is good. He should get his reps and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you want to be a little cautious because you don't want him to get hurt. but I think as somebody, especially like Trey Lance, who didn't play like barely any games his entire college career, like I don't know exact number, but I think he only played like 17 or 18 games or something like that in college, which is such a little amount, especially for a guy coming out of a small school. So you need to get this guy as many reps as possible, especially somebody like him who only played one game this past season because I had that little show off like talent, show off your talent like draft game that they had. So, but yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, he obviously adds the athleticism to the position that Jimmy G just doesn't bring you. And I've been on this podcast before. I am not a fan of Jimmy G. I think he is a poor man's Alex Smith. I think he is not that great. He doesn't turn over the ball, which is a good thing. I mean, he keeps it going. Obviously, San Francisco is a run-heavy game, especially they just drafted Trey Sermon to go along with Moser and everything. So they're definitely gonna be running the ball a lot more, but it is one of those things where I think we got to play it out a little bit. I think if Trey Lance continues to outperform Jimmy G, you gotta play him. At the end of the day, you got to put your team in the best position to win. And if Trey Lance gives you that extra element and he's playing if on the same level, if not better than Jimmy G, you need to start him. I don't care if he's a rookie or not. If he's the better player, you need to play him.
I think, going into this year, a lot of people are predicting the 49ers should have a better year than last year. Obviously, there's a ton of injuries. They had a ton of injuries early.
Yeah.
And going into the season, I'm actually going to contradict, what we talked about the Jaguars, where I think they're going to probably stick with Jimmy G because Jimmy G is a known thing. It's a safe thing. Like you said, it's a safe throw. It's not flashy, right? What you're hoping for is that you have these guys develop. I'm looking at the wide receivers. Deebo Samuel is really good. Should have a good season if he's not injured. Brandon Ayuk. All these guys should get better and should have a better season. But I don't see, unless Trey Lance is out of this world, better than Jimmy G, I really honestly think they're going to keep Trey Lance on the leash and keep him, with the headsets and looking over the playbook, because that is a disaster. Like, that's a disaster waiting to happen, to put a young rookie quarterback. And now understanding the pressure of, like, y'all moved up to draft this kid and y'all picked Trey Lance when nobody else was talking about Trey Lance. That is a factor in this, but I still think they're gonna probably stick with Jimmy G. Like I would, if I was a 49ers, I would stick with Jimmy G. Stick with what you know.
I could definitely agree with you, Gabe. Yeah. Definitely agree because look, last season, man, how many injuries you had, and yeah, you got a nice young, athletic talent, but you're gonna go over experience at this point, right? Like if you have a fully recovered team, right? Jimmy G did bring them to a Super Bowl, so you want that experience in play, right? He did get exposed. I remember in that game though, and Julian was calling it. He got exposed that game.
But he costed them the Super Bowl. He costed them the Super Bowl.
I remember watching that, but hopefully he learns from that. And if they have a team that's 100%, right? Set each other up to succeed. They can make a little run. So I don't think they're gonna transition to a new quarterback yet. I think they're gonna see what he has to offer with a healthy team once again before they decide to make that.
Just real quick for like the audience, just like when I'm saying he cost them the Super Bowl and what the play Joe just talking about was like, I'm sure everybody knows it. It's like when that deep ball that he had, I forgot who he had, but he was wide open, and I was like, Patrick Mahomes would have hit that, and that was, I forgot, it was towards the end of the game. It's been a while since I've seen that game.
Yeah.
But it was towards the end, and that would have won him it right there. And he overthrew him by a long shot. He missed him by like 10 or 15 yards. And yeah, but as you're saying.
Yeah, I'm surprised. The fact that Jimmy G hasn't been traded yet tells me they're probably going to stick with Jimmy G. Because as soon as I heard they moved up, I'm like, oh, they're going to trade Jimmy G in the offseason.
That's the guy they wanted. I feel like that's the guy, they sought out to get him, and they got him. And look, I mean, they went to a Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to hit the panic button yet. Again, they had a lot of injuries. You know what I mean? So
I like I said, to me, it's one of those where if Jimmy G's performing well and he looks like he's going to, the 49ers are doing well and they can make a playoff run, then yeah, you keep Jimmy G in there. But if Jimmy G is just not playing well or he just looks whatever, and then they start losing on top of that, they're definitely going to start throwing Trey Lance in there for sure. And people are going to be chanting for him. And like my biggest thing is like, honestly, I don't care if you're a rookie or not. If you're the better guy, you need to start. You need to play the better guy. I don't care. Like I said, even if it was Trevor Lawrence, I don't care. If Gardner Minshew was playing better than Trevor Lawrence, play Gardner Minshew. I'd rather win than see a guy in there not play that well because we're playing
Right,
because of his
so
name.
I'm gonna hold you to that because I could guarantee for the audience if his boy, if his quarterback isn't starting, he's gonna shed a tear or two. I can guarantee it.
Speaking of quarterbacks, can we transition? Just one more quarterback topic. Going to Chicago with Justin Fields, the battle going between Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. So
the boy Dalton.
That was an awesome game. Did anybody see that game?
I did not see the game. No,
that was actually very exciting from Justin Fields. He came in.
I saw the highlights of Fields. He needs to start.
He played very well. Granted, he was playing against backups. He was not playing against starters. Because if he was playing against the starting Dolphins defense, it'd probably been a different story. But he looked really good. To me, he had the best performance out of all the rookies. I've always said that I didn't buy into the Zach Wilson hype of him being the second best quarterback and being taken overall. I was always on the Justin Fields train, that Justin Fields has been done dirty. He's been 1A, he's been 1B to Trevor's 1A. And for some reason, something happened and he gets like bounced to be the fourth quarterback taken. Like, to me, that was just ridiculous. Like, Justin Fields has done nothing but make plays on the field. And he's another one too, like I said with Trey Lance and Trevor Lawerence. It's like his poise in the pocket and his poise like looking downfield was so well done. He did such a great job. And then also the one thing that stood out the most, and like what a lot of people probably won't see because it wasn't a flashy play, I forgot what it was, but there was a moment where he was rolling to the outside and he just kept on looking downfield. And instead of breaking for the run, he ended up throwing it. And that's something that I like to see a lot because there's a lot of those running or athletic quarterbacks that as soon as they see the opening, they go for the run. But the one thing that I think Lamar Jackson struggles in this, but I see like Russell Wilson does so well, is like no matter what, they throw the ball first. And then the last thing you should go for is for a run. And that's the one thing. I always want to see somebody's eyes down the field. And that's something I saw from Justin Fields that I liked a lot.
I was gonna say that's another situation too, probably where I can see the Chicago Bears sticking with Andy Dalton, right? Because we got all the tape on Andy Dalton. He's a safe bet to stay. But Justin Fields does have a big arm, and like you said, if he has these flashes of like where he's making certain decisions, I mean that's just gonna make the fans thirstier, right? If I see like him, I'm like, oh damn, this kid is looking good. Like if Andy Dalton never goes down, I have confidence that this kid is gonna fucking be an all-star.
I think Andy Dalton just the backup for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
he was last year.
How did that turn out? Because I know that whole team was injured as well. But you think he's good enough to remain a starter?
Well, that was actually the main reason why he went to Chicago. And then Chicago didn't think Justin Fields would fall in their lap. And they ended up trading up for him. And they got him. Because I think everybody thought Andy Dalton was starting. And to me, it's Andy Dalton's job to lose. I think Andy Dalton's probably going to be the starter. But if he starts not playing well like he has these past few years, you gotta put in Justin Fields. Especially if he keeps on performing like he does in the preseason. Like, people are going to be chanting for him, especially the Chicago fans. Like, they go hard. They go very. As somebody who's went to a Chicago game, they go very hard, and they're going to start asking for Nagy's head, telling him to start Justin Fields.
And here's a game to look at because their first game is at Los Angeles Rams, but the second game is versus Cincinnati. So they'll be playing Cincinnati. The second game, I can see that on TV being a thing.
Regular season?
Regular season, yeah. Week 2. Week 2, they're playing Cincinnati. So I like you said, I think this is Andy Dalton's job. Like, you stick with a veteran and hope the kid gets to learn the books. And you know what I mean?
But
hopefully,
I'll also say too, just like I said with everybody else, like, if Justin Fields, if he's getting first team reps and he's playing better with that first team than Dalton is, you got to start him. Like, because
of all the clips,
only coaches will know.
So of all the clips, Julian, you saw this week, or what was like the performance that you saw, where the person got the most out of, the player that got the most out of their performances over the past week?
Like I said, to me, the big one that stood out, was Justin Fields. I'll say, I mean, we already just brought that up, but I will say one guy who actually the first time we've actually got to see play is Jordan Love out of Green Bay. Like, I was actually kind of excited to see him because there was no preseason last year, so we didn't get to see him play because Aaron Rodgers started all 16 games. So I was actually really excited to see him, and he actually played not bad. Because let's be real, he's a rookie at the end of the day. Like, this was his first game ever, and he looked pretty well. Looks like the Green Bay fans responded really well to him, and I think he's going to be a decent guy. Obviously, we have to see more. I'm not going to say he's like fucking Tom Brady after one game, but he did look good. He looked good, and I was really surprised. I did not expect him to look good.
And as far as like this upcoming week, what are you looking forward to the most? What matchups or what particular player are you looking forward to develop as well?
I mean, obviously my team, Jags, but I would like to see more from Zach Wilson. I think he only got 2 drives. He had pretty much the same exact stats as Trevor Lawerence. Zach Wilson looked good. He actually didn't look too bad. The one thing I like about him is he does he has a quick release. Like that ball just looks like it's like a slingshot. Like he has a quick release. It's unlike anything I've probably like Aaron Rodgers that I compare to like now in modern day football. But like, man, he does have a very quick release, and he looks like he might do something. Looks like it was a good move to get rid of Darnold and bring him in. He looks like he just has more talent because I don't know what Sam Darnold's going to do down there in Carolina. I don't know if he played this past week. I didn't really see anything about the Panthers, but week 1 they are playing each other, Carolina versus New York. So that'd be interesting to see.
Irony.
Yeah, I think the only thing I saw as far as the Dolphins is I just heard news of how Waddle has really good rapport with Tua. I think the Dolphins recently they just traded for like a lineman, a left tackle or something that they just added. So obviously we're on Tua watch. You know, we believe in Tua.
It's his fucking team. I mean, did you watch any of the clips of how he played? He looked kind of average.
I watched some of the. I heard some of the analysis from some of the South Florida guys that watched it. So some of the clips on the news and stuff. But I haven't particularly watched any of the games. I generally don't have an interest in the only good thing about preseason is like the first 5 minutes when the first 2 drives when the stars are playing, and then after that it's like whatever. Like I don't care. I don't know.
To me, it's only interesting if you have like a rookie. Like for me, it's really interesting. But next year, it'll probably be boring as fuck. Like I don't really care. Yeah. Especially like if you're like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you care less about seeing preseason game. But like somebody like me or like the Bears or I mean, honestly, I think as a Dolphins fan, you'd be a little bit intrigued to see him like in a new system and everything.
Yeah.
But
all right, so last NFL topic, we're gonna transition to Washington football team. They're still deciding on a name. Last we heard, they changed their name to Washington football team. And they had a whole list of names. So we just want to get a consensus of how you guys feel about these names. So I'm just list out a bunch of names.
What do you got, Gabe?
How you feel about them. All right, the Washington Armada. The Washington Presidents. How about it's 2nd and 9 for the Washington Brigade? How about touchdown, Washington Commanders? Oh, look, that's a nice pooch. That's a nice pooch punt from the Washington Defenders. It's like, the Washington Red Hogs are up 17.
Red Hogs,
oink 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 oink.
Red Hog, oink oink. Or how about lastly the Washington Red Wolves? How do you feel about these names? Is there anything that stands out?
Red Wolves.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Well, just to preface this before we say anything, 3 apparently one of the higher ups in the Washington football team organization, they said out of these 8, they've narrowed down to 3. But there's also a possibility that one of those 3 aren't even in that list of 8. But that's the list of 8 that I guess that everybody's been going by. So
Jojo, were there any names that stand out to you that sound like okay? We kind of talk about this.
You saved the best one for last. Red Wolves. That's fire. I think that's dope.
I don't know how I feel about it. There's moments where I think it's pretty dope, but then there's moments you got to do the logo right. And I was listening to the Pat McAfee show, and they said they would have an awesome chant. They just start howling like, oh.
Honestly, the whole concept, if they do the marketing and the promo right, if they get the name with the Red Wolves, everything else was kind of boring. Defenders.
Also, Washington football team is actually still on the board too. Gabe didn't list it out, but that's also still possible name to keep Washington football team.
At this point, like I'm still comfortable with them calling them Washington football thing. I think it's actually kind of funny, but like it's just like everybody in the media got kind of used to it. So like, of all the names, I mean, I'm good with Defenders. I'm good with Red Wolves. I'm good with football team. Like those three names are like okay to me. I hate that it's just, obviously they're in DC and they got to make it like some in baseball they have the Washington Nationals. It's like something related to like government or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's why actually I didn't really like it. I think you can stray away from that a little. Like, wait, so the Washington Presidents?
I mean,
that's
like
the Washington Wizards. I mean, you have the Wizards.
That's the Washington. I mean, Wizards is another thing, but that's kind of like their identity. I guess the city's identity, right? The Golden State Warriors. Their logo is in Golden State. Obviously we talked about how the Cleveland Indians are changed to the Cleveland. Was it the Cleveland
Guardians?
Guardians with the thing of the bridge. So I mean, obviously you got to pick something that identifies with the city itself, or something that's kind of related. Right?
Not every time, but I get what you're saying, right? A lot of teams do kind of have names that represent the city, but there's plenty that doesn't. You know what I mean?
They're obviously keeping the same color, like for sure. Like that's just, I mean, you're gonna do it. My bet. I mean, personally, I kind of like Washington football team. Like, there's something just like classic.
I know.
There's something just like classic about it. Like, yo, we're just the Washington football team. Because I mean, think about it. They're a very historic franchise. They're one of the first ones. So it has kind of like that old school, like, we're just like kind of like soccer, where it's just like, like.
If you think about it, I think of like the Cleveland Browns, right? Because you say the Cleveland Browns, and what are their colors? They're color like orange and brown, whatever. The Browns was actually the name of a guy, so it was the
Jim
Cleveland
Brown.
Browns because it was it was named after the coach. The coach was Coach Brown, who was head of the Cleveland. So like
Paul Brown,
right? Yeah, Paul Brown, not Jim Brown. But
Jim Brown's the quarterback.
Yeah, so it doesn't, and obviously, what's their mascot? Their mascot is a dog. It doesn't make sense. Cleveland Browns and a dog and it's orange. It doesn't make sense.
I will say,
there's
outside of the football team, I do like Red Wolves. I think you can do a lot with that, and I think you can make something pretty fucking sick.
Oh, it's something savage, right? It'll get your team going. It'll be
like I said, the Howl thing would be sick. The Howl thing, like you go in the stadium and everybody's like something crazy.
You know what? There's a portion of Red Wolves. It makes it sound like almost like a college team or like one of the AFL teams. I remember Madden used to play with like the Europe League, the Euro League, or whatever the other league. And Red Wolves just sounds and feels like I don't know, depending on how they do the logo, it just feels like kind of like gimmicky college like.
That's how exactly I felt when I first saw the XFL. If you watched any of the XFL games last year,
didn't have St. Louis. It was like. There was like a pilot. There was a plane. The St. Louis something.
St. Louis. No, Battlehawks. They were the Battlehawks.
Battlehawks. That's cool. That sounds cool. But that still sounds like college.
But I will say all their logos, like I said, it literally remind me of like one of those custom franchises where like, the Euro League things you can make back in those old Madden games.
Yeah, the old Madden 05. Madden 05.
But I do think, like, I think in the top, what do you think's in the top three, though? I think the top three is the Red Wolves football team and maybe, like...
Don't say Presidents.
I don't think it's the President.
Don't say Presidents.
I'd rather, like, honestly, out of some of those, I'd rather be, like, the Washington Americans. Sounds cooler than that shit. Like, half the shit that's...
I think that's a little stretch. But I would say...
you have the New England Patriots. Like, I mean...
If they decide to name them the Defenders and they end up having the worst defense in the league, I think that'll be hilarious.
I think you're setting yourself up.
Isn't the XFL team the Defenders? Like, isn't one of those names like a XFL team? Because then
but they're not the Washington.
You're named the Defenders, and you out here giving up 50 points a game.
I do think, though. I mean, you already have the football team. The one thing is, I think the marketing department's obviously gonna be like, "Well, what the fuck do we do with the football team?" Like, it's not like a historic name or anything. But like I said, I mean, it is kind of classy. It's kind of cool. It's like old school. Just like, I mean, your mascot could just be like a leatherhead football player. Like that'd be pretty sick, like those leather helmets, like an old school football, like that'd be pretty dope. Like I like that. And secondly is Red Wolves. I think Red Wolves. I'm not against the Red Hogs either. Like that could be kind of cool. Like I don't know. I mean, like you have the Razorbacks, but like
I never liked the Arizona. Was it Arizona Razorback or?
That's not Arizona.
Diamondbacks. No, you're thinking of
Oklahoma?
No, that's
No.
the Gamecocks. No,
Arkansas?
Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah, I never liked their logo. I never liked their team at all. Whatever, but it's whatever they want. I don't think Cogs is going to make it. Like you said, there's other names that I'll probably lean on. Yeah, but I'm perfectly fine with football team now. Football team is fine now. It's like common, not like
they waited too long. I think they waited too long. It's like kind of like people got used to it.
I think we're all used to it.
Yeah,
and it's pretty. You know what? I will say I'm kind of upset they didn't do, but it'd be kind of cool. It's like DCFC.
That's too much soccer. Like, you want to be like soccer?
I know, it'd just be different. It'd be kind of cool though, like DCFC,
okay.
like that. I don't know, but I really like football team. I think I'm leaning towards.
I'm down to that one. Anyways, guys, we're gonna hold a little poll on the IG. We want to hear what you guys think.
What should the name be?
The next name of the Washington football team. So stay tuned to our Instagram.
Get your votes in. We're gonna send it to the president of the Washington football team. All right, so just transition. We're getting out of football because football seems the main thing that's going on right now, preseason. But we just want to talk a little bit about MLB, little MLB news. JoJo, Ohtani has been going off. Obviously, Ohtani is a pitcher and a hitter for the Los Angeles Angels, and just kind of the historic run that he's going on. If you want to talk about it, JoJo.
Honestly, man, I think it's absolutely insane, right? We've in terms of baseball, that's really the main face you've seen all season since the beginning, right? Two-way player, best hitter in the league right now, currently one of the best pitchers. We haven't seen this in over 100 years, since Babe Ruth, that we can last recall. Seeing a pitcher this dominant in hitting, man, like it's insane. The first to 40 home runs this season as a pitcher. Have you guys seen this guy swing? Yeah, too bad he didn't win the home run derby. That's fine. It's just a friendly competition, right? We want to see what you can do in the game, and he's showing us 40 home runs.
He still. So when he starts, is he hitting last? Like a pitcher?
they put him in as a DH, as a designated hitter. So even when he's not pitching, he's still hitting. So
what about when he is pitching? How
they could put him anywhere in the lineup because he's DHing.
But like, doesn't somebody take the pitcher spot like in the beginning of the games?
Right. So the difference is so in the American League, they have a different set of rules than the National League. In the National League, your pitchers hit, so they usually bat them 9. In the American League, you're allowed to have DH, which is a designated hitter. So
that's right. I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
So
go ahead.
They're playing Cleveland right now. He's batting first, DHing.
Okay, yeah. I forgot the Angels are in the American League, but I do remember that now. I'm just going based off because I've watched so many Marlins games. I forget. Because Big Papi, he would play DH sometimes when he wasn't playing first base.
Yeah. Even right now, Stanton he's played the field like 2 or 3 times in the last 2 seasons.
Why?
He's strictly in there for hitting. He's DHing.
They don't want him to get hurt. They don't want him running. Yeah, they don't want him running and getting hurt out there.
Yeah, he's risk of injury, and we have other outfilders, and he's a big bat, so you want to play.
Hey man, stand out there and catch a damn ball. And
you're paying a guy millions of dollars. You want him to stay healthy for someone that's been injury prone the last few years, man.
Yeah,
it's a position for it. There's a position for it. It's DH. They didn't create it just for Stanton. It's there.
I know that. I just think it's just like, I don't know.
I was gonna say, speaking of Yankees, we're talking about Stanton. Let's talk about the Yankees and the historic run they were going. Last time we were talking at the All-Star break, they were trying to make a run. They made big trades. They got Joey Gallo.
Yes, sir.
They got I forgot the other trades they got. But they're making a run towards the playoffs, right? And I think Red Sox were at the top of the division, as well as Tampa Bay. So they were in that 3rd spot. But JoJo, if you can talk us down about the last couple of weeks, what's been going on with the Yankees since
for sure. So if we're talking July, man, we're looking at our record again, and I mentioned this in the last episode. And we're doing even better, so we'll get there. But in July, our playoff chances were not looking too good, so we obviously had to make moves. We were 10.5 games back That's an eternity in baseball, because for you to catch up, you need your other team to lose that's ahead of you in your division, and you need to go on a streak. So at that time, by the trade deadline, obviously we acquired, Joey Gallo and Rizzo. Needed 2 lefties in the lineup. And we needed to win. So the goal was 2 out of 3, right? 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. You need to win every series. And look at us now. We've officially passed Boston, second spot in the AL East, which was not an easy feat. Boston went on a little losing streak, which, very important to us, and while we were winning. And we had some tough series as well, like a lot of close games, 1 or 2 runs. Obviously, our relief pitching wasn't really helping us. And we've had 15 players on the IL, which a lot of people are underlooking that. So we had players step up, as I mentioned before, and look at us. We are 5 games behind Tampa Bay for first place. And with our series sweep, bring out the brooms, past Boston, and now we're leading the wild card. Yes.
I was gonna say,
If the season were to end right now, we are in playoffs. And I know we got a month to go, but
yeah. Well, they're at 122 games. They're playing tonight. They're actually beating.
Here's the scary thing. We were doing this without our best team available, our best available team. We got Luke Voigt back, right? He stepped up tremendously. When Anthony Rizzo was out, Anthony Rizzo's back. Now the decision is, what are we going to do with Voigt? Obviously he's going to be the starter. That's why we got him. Look at that backup, in Voigt. Oh,
Gabe, another thing too, yeah. Transition sports. You should start watching Inter Miami, because we're actually on a fucking roll right now.
What? It's won 2 games in a row? Is that it?
No, dude. They've won. Let me think. 5.
I know they beat Chicago.
5, they've gone unbeaten 5 out of the last 6 games. Gone unbeaten. Okay. We've won in 3 out of those 5 games. We've tied twice and won 3. And then we lost against New York City FC, which was just kind of it's one of those New York NYC FC they're just a really good team. But you need to hop on, man. We're turning it around, man. We're pushing for the playoffs. We're pushing. We got an easy schedule. We beat Chicago. Chicago is at the bottom of the table. Now we're facing Toronto tomorrow, which is last place in all of MLS. So we should get another dub here. And then, man, we're climbing, man. We're climbing, and our designated players are playing well. We got some new guys that have transferred out of England. Like, yo, we're moving the ball, man. We're scoring. Like,
listen,
it's looking good. David Beckham's been going to every game, and ever since Beckham,
I think you need to bring Gabe to a game, bro, to get the ball rolling. You need to bring him to a game.
When I went to a game, I've been watching everyone since. Like, I got that game, the atmosphere, especially when you sit in the supporter section, is just awesome. Like, I mean, when we score, people throw beers, like they go fucking crazy. Like they have a pink smoke. So like when we score, they pop like the pink smoke, and like they got the flags waving. It's great. To me, there is no other sport. I mean, maybe football or like college football is the only thing that compares to like the supporter section of a soccer game. Like it gets so fucking crazy, but you need to hop on, man. We're doing good. And mind you too, out of all those games, those 5 out of 6, besides the Chicago game, Chicago was at the bottom of the table, but before that, we were 4 out of 5. And those 5 teams that we played were all in the top 6 in the Eastern Conference in the playoff contention. So
look at Gabe's face. He's still not looking like a believer. You could throw all the stats at him.
Bro, we were 4 out of 5.
Not impressed.
Out of the top 5 teams.
Let me know when Messi's at the airport. I'll pick up Messi at the airport. Okay, you let me know when he's here. I'll go get him.
He's not impressed. Real quick, before we transition, even though you already did out of baseball, just to bring up a few things going on the rest of the season, because I know I always ramble about my Yankees. There's a lot of other stuff going on here. Obviously Shohei Ohtani is going for that MVP, which I guarantee you he's going to win this year. But we need to go, Gabe. We haven't spoke about the biggest game of the season, the game of the year, man. The Dreams. Guess what?
Oh yeah.
We're getting a part 2.
Yeah.
We're getting a part 2.
So Field of Dreams game, it was actually
game of the season, and they already announced it. We're getting part 2 next year. It's going to be Cincinnati Reds versus Chicago Cubs. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I was actually like, pretty yeah.
I was going to say that game's going to be packed with Cubs fans. Oh.
Yeah. Actually, this I saw it last year. This year, I mean, last week, a couple days ago, or whatever, August 12th, I think it was. It was a pretty fun game. It was a little tight, a little boring in the beginning, but definitely the last 2 innings were definitely like fucking the craziest like turn, pivot, twist of a game. Super exciting. I thought it was super dope. I didn't realize like how much of a development actually was, because they actually have the house, but then the actual field was like a football field away, and they had like a little corn maze or whatever. So the actual game and setup is actually pretty cool. I actually think it's a cool idea. I know the NHL they'd like to do this shit where they play outside. I think they did it this year, but the Winter Classic. But this year it started like because of fucking global warming. The shit was like the ice was melting and it was all jittery, and I think they stopped the game because they were worried that the players were going to get hurt because the ice wasn't holding.
Well, no, they canceled it last year wasn't.
Yeah.
Didn't they just cancel it just entirely because of COVID or whatever?
I remember seeing footage. I saw them play for a little bit. I think they stopped the game.
Did they actually do it? Oh, maybe not.
Yeah,
I must have missed it then.
But the actual, baseball doing it, I think it's a smart idea. Like, obviously, I think Fox was the main one. Fox was the main network hosting it, and obviously they do always a huge production. They have the fucking drones flying through and shit. It's a dope idea, man. Like, it's cool. It's part of like the Americana. It's part of nostalgia. I remember watching that kid. That's like one of my favorite baseball movies growing up as a kid. It's a little slow and boring, but it is like about like it's in the spirit of baseball. So I think it's dope as fuck. And if you see like the level of production they did to make that stadium, like, why would you tear that down? Like, they could easily tear it down. Like, it's built like a fucking concert, but like, why would you tear it down?
Especially that was the movie prop. That's where they actually did it. That's where the movie was actually filmed.
Yeah. But honestly, this game was the most watched regular season MLB game in 16 years.
Yeah,
16 years, and it was the most streamed regular season baseball game in Fox Sports history. Insane.
And we talk about the tickets. The tickets were going crazy. I think they, Julian talked about how they sold it to the locals. I think they were like 400, but then people were reselling.
Yeah, I brought it up that they did a raffle for the locals there.
Yeah,
it was Iowa. 14,000 seats or something like that, and
people were selling tickets for like a couple. Yeah, for a couple G's, the tickets, even though they're sold for 400. So, I mean, it makes sense, man. Like, it's a good thing, especially coming out of this pandemic thing going on in the world. Like, it was a smart idea, and like, I hope they do a fucking Sandlot game. How about that? Let's do all kinds of baseball games. Let's do a fucking Hey Arnold. Let's do a Hey Arnold game where they go in New York City. They play in fucking Central Park or some shit. I don't know. Like,
what's the movie where he gets on the mound? He's like, I am 12.
Oh, bench warmers.
Bench warmers. They should do a bench warmers.
Yeah.
So
have ringers out there. Have Hall of Famers pull up and start playing.
So it's a smart idea, man. Like, you make money, you can sell. Obviously, it sells tickets, it gets views, and that's all really that league cares about.
Football should do something like that. That'd be pretty sick to see. Like, take some like historic, like high school football movie, and then you play like the NFL game like at the like high school stadium. That'd be pretty crazy. They
Friday Night Lights.
Or Friday like or NBA doing a fucking game in like what's
Tucker
that famous
Park?
Yeah,
New York.
That'd be crazy. Like doing an NBA game there or some shit. Like, they should all do stuff.
I don't know if it works because for the cornfield itself, obviously the cornfield looks different than a baseball field, and I think they made the dimensions of it like the old Comiskey Park, which is the old Chicago White Sox park. They made it to those dimensions, but I don't think if that works. Like, you need to do like a Remember the Titans game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking Remember the Titans, but I'm trying to think of like another one. Like, you could find something. Yeah. Like, I can't think of any movie at the top of my head. But like, yeah, or even like I said, doing the NBA game at like the why am I forgetting the name? Jojo, in New York. Yeah, like doing the game there. Like, that'd be kind of cool, man. That'd be pretty sick. Or like Venice Beach or some shit. Like,
how many tickets are you gonna sell? 1,000? That's it. You're gonna have
I mean, just like, I don't know, cover the fucking people just stand around the thing. I don't know how you do it, but maybe you add. I don't know. But I think it'd be kind of cool. I think it'd always be kind of. I mean, I guess NFL kind of does it with the Hall of Fame game, like playing in Canton.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's more about the Hall of Fame than the actual game. Like, nobody cares about the preseason.
Yeah. I think NFL's more worried about doing a game in London or like Mexico than they are about doing in some small town, middle America. Like they're definitely rather do it in fucking Europe or Mexico than do that.
Where they're trying to expand the audience, you know what I mean? They're trying to get more eyes on the game. Because obviously those London games, you know, the people, they just wear whatever jersey. It doesn't matter who's playing though.
It's a festival. It's a festival. Like they treat the game as just like, you see those things, even though it's like Jaguar home games, like those guys are wearing all kinds of jerseys for teams that aren't even playing. Cause it's just like, from what I've heard, it's like a America festival. It's just like people go out there and just like, you know, just like same way we do like St. Patrick's Day, like, but they do like
they're celebrating American culture, I guess, instead of they're celebrating football in general than whatever. But that's I think this is a good spot to end it. We appreciate y'all for coming checking us out. Real Fans Podcast.
Also, real quick, are you guys ready for the fantasy draft tomorrow? We're doing a football fantasy draft league. We're all in it this time, and the draft is tomorrow. Gabe, who you taking first?
I'm taking Pat Mahomes, baby.
In the first round? That's a JoJo move. That's a JoJo move.
Quarterback, running back.
I've done that. I picked Tom Brady first overall a few years ago. I was new to this. I didn't know. I regret it.
Quarterback, running back.
I am not taking quarterback until I might not even draft one, honestly.
Listen, I just hope Gabe isn't ahead of me in this draft because he stole all the good players right in front of me. Every player that I wanted, he took. Oh
yeah, because we're back to back and
we're right next to each other.
What was that receiver we're going? Like I think you took Justin Jefferson, or I took the. Oh yeah, wait, did you take Justin Jefferson and I took the white guy?
I don't remember, but I remember when you got DK Metcalf and you were like, yeah, this is the guy right here.
That was it. I was Metcalf. It was between Metcalf and what's the other receiver? I forget his name, but yeah, I remember we're back to back. We're talking shit. I was like, that's fun and games. But we appreciate y'all checking us out. Real Fans Podcast. Down for another one. Next week we'll be back here again talking about all the sports. I'm excited. Tomorrow's going to be Sha'Carri Richardson running. Hopefully I get some news from that. Football, baseball, all the sports. Real Fans Podcast. JoJo, tell them where we can find the podcast.
Spotify, Real Fans Podcast, Instagram, YouTube, the Little Gabe tweets. Gabe's Twitter fingers.
MySpace. So we appreciate y'all coming out. We'll be back next week. Peace.